really extremely astonished, class, by your presentation. I mean, I didn't know what to think about it. It's the first time I've ever heard that even Dutch spatial planning is not logical. Here we are, when I look at spatial planning, I think, wow, look at that. All of this, the guide country for Belgium, but it's illogical. Okay, it's good to know. Thank you for that. Hello, I'm Victor. I work for Minister Zoaldemir, and I'm Councillor for Environmental Issues at our cabinet. And for our Dutch colleagues, I think our cabinets in Belgium are slightly larger than the ones in Holland, but I also think that we rather tend to dive a little bit deeper into the content of matters, because sometimes, well, the political decision making in Flanders differs a little bit from the one in Holland, I think, but I'm always happy to discuss on that. But here I'm going to discuss on the Blue Deal. The Blue Deal, a program in fact, we as Flemish government have decided upon looking for solutions towards a more climate robust Flanders and a more climate robust water system in our Flemish region. Why did we do that? Of course, well, you all know much better than me that we have an awful lot of problems, causes of water scarcity. One of that is that the water availability in Flanders is extremely low. Well, we don't have that many very big rivers in Flanders, and we have quite a lot of population. So we are not really, well, we are at the top, but at the problem top. Secondly, of course, we use an awful lot of water, just like you. We have an awful lot of people who want to drink, who want to take a bath, who want to swim. We have a lot of industry, we have a lot of agriculture. So we abstract a lot of water. Spatial planning, okay, we have got quite a bit of concrete, quite a bit too much. So a lot of space where water cannot infiltrate anymore. On the fourth hand side, because of floods in the early years, we have taken an awful lot of effort to make sure that the water that falls onto Flanders speeds up to the sea as rapidly as possible. So there is not really a lot of time for the water to infiltrate. So there's some problems. And I'm also very happy, Marijke, to see there's a lot of people here, because Marijke was really worried that we would have no people at all in the room because of the wet summer. But I'm very glad to see that one wet summer doesn't solve all problems, because we also still have to be aware of flooding, of course, because we know that a number of the reasons why our regions are dry are the same reasons why we have flooding problems. Our spatial planning is a problem. Yes, water cannot infiltrate. So where does the water stay? Well, where we don't want it, on top of the concrete, in our houses. Because we don't give space to the water anymore, well, we try to build dikes and stuff like that to speeden up the water, but when the space is too limited, again, we get the water where we don't want it. So there have been policy drives in the past to take measures against flooding. Our Sigma plans in Flanders, your Delta programs in Holland, awful lot of money, building a lot of steel and concrete, taking measures. And yes, we have seen last summer that there are very good reasons why we also have to take measures against drought. At a certain moment, in a small part of the province of Vlaams-Brabant, there was no water coming out of the tap. And all of a sudden, drought is not just an issue, it is the major issue. So, very high time to take measures. A Blue Deal. Flemish government agreed on a Blue Deal last year. And what do we want to do with a Blue Deal? We want to tackle the reasons for the drought. We have got three big lines, in fact, in our program. We want to make sure that we pump less water, that we abstract less water, and we use less water, saving water, first priority. Second place, the water we use, we have to use it much smarter than we have done in the past, closing the water circle. Because in fact, if you look at it, water is a very valuable resource. We all agree on that. Yet, what do we do with our water? We have a lot of energy, we put a lot of effort and money into abstracting water from groundwater, surface water, and clean it up to a very pure status. What do we do with it? Well, most of it, we flush it through the toilet. Part of it, we drink it. Our industry uses it. We use it once. Such a valuable resource. What do we do with it afterwards? We flush it. It goes to a purification plant. Again, a lot of money, a lot of energy. What do we do afterwards? Oh, we want to get rid of it as fast as possible. Poof! You flush it on a canal or a river. This is a valuable resource. It's nonsense, of course. We have to use our water much smarter than we have done in the past. Circular water is one of the very big lines. Third line, we have to infiltrate more, get rid of the concrete. Or, if you can't get rid of the concrete, try to make smarter measures to make sure more water goes into the groundwater. Three very big lines to try to achieve that. Three very big lines of instruments. One is a very big investment program. We have dedicated more than 400 million euros to spend in those 4 years of our policy. We are here, those 4 years. I mean, we haven't spent, well, we have spent a few millions on drought measures. So this is quite a bit more, spending 400. Second line is to stimulate. We invest more money as Flemish region, but we also want to stimulate other parties to invest themselves. We want to stimulate industry, we want to stimulate agriculture, we want to stimulate also local authorities. In the third line, stimulation is never enough. You will have first movers, you will have even a smart majority that wants to move, but at the end, you always need to stick. A carrot is not enough to get everybody to move. And in the end, you will always need regulation to make sure that everybody moves ahead. So, in the anti-blue deal, there are 6 tracks. Some of them are larger than others. But first, a very big track, and one that was really a very top priority for our minister, is public authorities lead by example. You cannot ask agriculture, private persons, or industry to take measures if you don't take them yourselves as government. Second is circular water use, as I already mentioned. The third big line is that agriculture and nature have to be part of the solutions. Fourth line is to stimulate. Well, I have translated it to English as deconstruction, ontharding. How do you translate that to English? Taking away the concrete, deconcretizing. I don't know. Fifth line is to ensure water provision. If it is dry, if there is a period of drought, how do you make sure that you still have the water you really need? Sixth line is collaborative innovation. A few details on some of the lines, because I think some might be interesting, and I think there are opportunities also to cooperate within the different countries and regions. The first one is that Flanders invests in space for water. We are investing, well, most of the largest part of those 400 million euros, we are going to spend into more infiltration capacity in our open space. So giving space to water is a very, very big capacity line there. The second line is we have built storage capacity, for instance, for flood control. Let's use part of that flood capacity also for infiltration, because you can do quite some smarter things with that we have done than just protecting us against flood. Second is that we will have local rain and drought plans for all local authorities, where every local authority has to check what measures they can take to keep as much rainwater as possible within their own boundaries. Local authorities can, of course, cooperate with that. Third line is water saving programs. Every local authority, Flemish authority also, will have to work out water saving programs to reduce their own water use, and to create also good examples that you can present to your own population or to industry. Fourth line is also that we are moving into a central production for drinking water production. Why? At the moment we produce about half of our drinking water from groundwater, half of our drinking water from surface water. Several drinking water companies, well, they cooperate, at least they cooperate now better than in the past, but it would be much smarter if you use more surface water, more rainwater for drinking water production at the times when there is surface water in abundance, time of heavy rainfall. So that at that time you can reduce the groundwater abstraction, so that your groundwater is really a strategic reserve for those periods when you have less rainwater or surface water. To do that, of course, well, you need to steer also between different water companies. Very big line also for our minister is to reduce the leaking from our drinking water lines, our drinking water distribution net. The ELI is an international leakage index. It is still pretty high in all our countries, I think, and every cubic meter of water that is leaking out of our water system is, of course, water for which you spend energy to make pure water, but which is lost. Limit also water from the loss of canals. The water that is lost at locks when you open your locks in your canals is quite a big quantity, as Patrick also showed. Enforcement of illegal captures. Capture of groundwater is very popular, of course, especially when you don't have enough That's one of our problems. When people see that the summer is dry, when you're afraid that you won't have enough water, what are you going to do? You're going to do it whether you can have your own well, in your garden, in your field. Cross your fingers that the government won't notice it, and you have water in abundance. Again, speeding up the problem. Another line is, stricter checks for integral water and drought management at permit applications, for instance, for new constructions, but also for new buildings, new industry that is going to be built. At the level of spatial planning, yes, our spatial planning must be much smarter. Our spatial planning must become more logical. We have a construction shift, which is of course an issue of very big political discussion. And the last line here is also that we have worked out already calls for local governments for smarter water management and deconstruction, so that they also get extra money for investment in those measures. Second big line is circular water use. Circular water use for all parties involved. For agriculture, for companies, for governments, for also private persons, of course. One big line is, of course, for companies. They use a lot of water, and if you can have a number of companies that consume more than 100,000 cubic meters a year, for instance, well, if you can raise circular water management there, of course the numbers are very big. It's much more effective to have measures there than, for instance, trying to reach 100,000 private persons to reduce their own water use. So we want to support investments, but also water scans are going to become compulsory for big consumers and companies with large sealed services, and we will work out blue deals for priority sectors. On the level of households, we want to raise the level of water scans, the number of water scans that are being carried out, to also raise the level of water saving within a house, and we want to make it compulsory also at the moment that you will have a construction permit. Because at that moment you're going to invest in your own house, in your own building, for private persons, but also for companies, for instance. So that's the time to invest also in water saving programs or smart water management within the building. We're also going to invest in large-scale rainwater harvesting and rainwater use in cooperation, for instance, between local authorities and our drinking water companies. And we are also going to work out a scheme, or we have worked out a scheme also for smarter well drainage, meaning that there will be a stricter guidance that you will have to limit the drainage first, that if you are needing or if you want to build a well drainage, you will have to reuse as much water as possible, and if also that is not possible, you will infiltrate. And only if that all is not possible, you will be allowed to get rid of the water. Agriculture and nature are part of the solution. As I already mentioned, the largest part of the money is going to be invested in infiltration in wetlands, and also we are going to work out a program, water landscape, where nature and agriculture come up together with smart ideas for better water management, because agriculture and nature quite often are neighbors, so that most of them can have win-wins, or win-wins can be created in the area where both meet. A last line where we want to focus on is collaborative innovation. We have a lot of companies who say at least that they are interested in water, who say that water for them is a really top priority. If that is true, we will have to invest, but we will have to invest together, government and companies and research institutes, innovating together in smarter solutions to save water and to make better use of our water. So we have worked out innovation programs for industry and agriculture. They are started already. We'll also work out or set up a collaborative innovation program for our public water companies, and we will make sure that those two big programs will have to cooperate so that they can learn from one another, because that's also quite different sometimes, or difficult for a number, learning from one another and, well, having the willingness to learn and also to look at other parties involved. Another line is going to invest in smart measuring networks for water, making sure that we get much shorter response times. We see also much easier, much faster when problems are going to arise, and also models like Patrick has explained will help us to get faster information and to be able to react also faster on the information. And the last line is cooperation in knowledge dissemination, also there. Innovation is very good, but of course everybody on the field must be able to use those innovative technologies and innovative models. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've tried, very shortly, time was limited, sorry for that, to give a short presentation of the Blue Deal. I'm very willing to go further into discussion after the session. I'll also stay here for a few minutes during the drink, which is also very important. So let's face it, we all know water is crucial. But if water is crucial, and we agree on that, we do have to act. And we do have to act together and to invest together. Because this is a problem the government cannot solve alone. And I'm very happy, Klaas, that you also said there, in many models there is a white line. The white line is not there. We share the water we have. We share a lot of surface water, we share a lot of groundwater. Let's face it. We share a lot of knowledge. We share a lot of research institutes. So let's cooperate, let's work together, and I'm very happy that a number of you are already, well, know one another, and that we are investing together in programs like Interact. So I really would say, yes, let's go, and I do thank you.